Hi, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Nicole.
And this is
Life with
Twins. Last episode, we talked a little bit about the beginning stages of the final transfer steps. So we're going to go ahead and continue from there. And so, Nicole, why don't you take it away?
So we left off talking about how nervous I was about transferring. The doctor recommended after my last biopsy that I should take a Valium about an hour before my transfer time. Not for my anxiety's sake, but to help relax my cervix to hopefully make it easier for the doctor to get in.
The problem with that is right before, so as she said in the last video, with the transfer, once they thaw out the embryos, there's only about an hour window that you have to implant them. So you want to make sure that you're on time and all of that. Now, me as a person, I'm late to everything that I've ever been a part of.
Always.
Doesn't matter what it is. But with this one, Nicole was very on top of me when it came to making sure that we were trying to be there on time.
I was calling him like, "Are you on your way?
Yeah.
Hurry up."
However, prior to this happening, I started to realize, like, wow, this is final. This is it. After everything we've gone through, this is definitely it. And I actually could be becoming a dad if Nicole gets pregnant. So I had a little bit.
He didn't think about the entire 3 years that we were trying to get pregnant,
No.
that the goal was to become pregnant and for him to become a dad.
Mm-hmm.
It only hit him as we're getting out the door.
Yeah. So had a little bit of a kind of like a nervous breakdown, but I quickly was able to.
He was crying and he was like, "I don't know if I'm ready to be a dad." And I was like, "You need to get your stuff together because our embryos are thawing or thawed. There's no turning
There's no
back.
going back. So
Literally.
Get it together." So
sorry if you don't want to be a dad anymore, but it sucks to suck.
Yeah. So I was forced in the car, and we went ahead of going forward.
Yes. And
but we arrived at the place, New Horizons.
yeah, we arrived on time. New direction.
Okay. Sorry. New direction.
We arrived on time. We were very anxious and nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it was a good thing that I didn't get a phone call beforehand, because if there was a problem with thawing, they would have called me beforehand. So I knew that at least one of our embryos had to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And they, brought us back to this little room where I changed into a gown, and we both got nice little transfer hats that we wore over our hair. And then they quickly brought us back to the procedure room where they were going to transfer.
Yeah.
And I just remember like everything just kind of going so quickly and not really knowing what's going on, partly because of the Valium. And, they walk in and they are like, "Okay, is this Nicole Gonzalez? Blah, blah, blah. And 2 embryos." I'm like, "Yep, that's me." But they like say it so fast. I'm just like, well, I think I heard my name in there. So.
Right.
And then they bring in this little tube that has our
genetic makeup
embryos
inside of
in it.
Yeah.
And they have the ultrasound on my stomach, and they're looking at my cervix, and you can just see them put the tube in. And
yeah, you lay down, we watch it on the TV screen, and the doctor goes, he's talking, and then on the screen there's like this little bubble that you see, and then he's like, "All right."
And then they like take a picture of it, and they're like, "Your embryos are somewhere in that air bubble." And then they take the tube back to the lab, which is connected to the procedure room, and they look at it under a microscope, and they go, "All clear," meaning that there's no embryos left inside of that tube, which is very reassuring. But I did have a lot of doubts. I mean, why not?
She doubts everything. She doubts that she's going to get pregnant. She doubts that even when she is pregnant, that they're going to live. it's constantly a lot of doubt with this one. So that was very normal that she was going to worry that they weren't going to take.
Yeah, so I was like, well, did they even like have both embryos, or was it just one embryo? But right after they took the tube out and said all clear, he was like, okay, you guys are good to go. And I was just like, are you sure?
Yeah.
Because after every single IUI, they have you lay there for 10 minutes just to make sure that all the semen gets exactly where it needs to go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just want me to stand up
and
walk?
That's it. Like it was just, it's
deal.
like everything that we had waited for that led up to that moment. And it was so, it was so anticlimactic.
Yeah.
It's like, that's
I was
it.
so worked up for everything. And then we go in there and like literally it was like 10 minutes. He had no problem getting through my cervix.
Yep.
The embryos transferred smoothly.
No issues.
And he was like, all right, you guys are good to go. And I was just like, I don't think so. And I just remember, like, on the way home, I was so aware of Anthony's driving. And I was so aware of all the potholes in the street. And I was just like, can you find a smoother road to drive on? Because I feel like we're going to dislodge them. But I definitely took it easy.
Yeah, they have like really strict restrictions though when it comes to like no vacuuming because the vibration of the vacuum
could cause your uterus to contract, which could cause the embryos to be dislodged. No intercourse, no like heavy lifting, like, you know, so I took I made my schedule around my transfer so that I wouldn't have to like work on the floor for a while afterwards, just to make sure that I'm giving these embryos the best environment possible. I did a lot of resting. I, you know, tried to relax and not stress about it. But when you're not working, all you can do is think about it.
So how long was the time in between us doing the transfer, between how long it was before you actually found out if you were pregnant?
Okay, so our transfer was October 8th. We were supposed to wait until October 18th.
Yeah, that was a tough 10
days. To get
days.
Blood tests.
And the whole time we couldn't tell anybody that we did the transfer either.
No,
So
we didn't tell anybody that we were transferring, which I'm very proud of myself for doing.
Yeah.
Not you, but me. I'm very proud of myself. People were hounding us like, when are you going to transfer? When are you going to transfer? And we're just like, well, we want to pay off our IVF first. Well, I feel like the boys are just super safe being frozen, so I don't want to risk just like ruining their lives by trying to thaw them.
And you really did feel like if we keep them frozen, then
like they're super safe.
Well, there was not that chance that when they were put into you that they could die, you know, that you could miscarry. So it was really a weird situation because you're kind of living in that paradox of like, well, let's kind of keep them because then they're fine, because once we actually make that transfer, then there is the possibility of them dying, and that's when, you know, all the things that you've hoped and dreamed of for as long as you have can be crushed.
Squashed.
So, yeah.
So, you know, like my mom would be like, oh, when are you going to transfer? And I was just like, oh, January. And like, I'm talking to her about it literally as I have embryos inside of me. And I'm just like, yeah, we're not transferring until January.
Yeah. And then the hard thing was in between the time we did the transfer and the time we were going to find out if you were pregnant, you had my birthday party in between that, which was a big deal because that was me turning 30, and you would put in so much planning and stuff going into it. And the whole time with you trying to keep the secret of the fact that you were possibly pregnant at that time. And like, even family members were kind of asking like, are you okay? Like, because she was exhausted already.
Yeah. That was a while after transferring. But yeah, it was definitely hard not to spill the beans. I got little pictures of them as embryos, and I would like show people, I'm like, look at the birthday's so cute. And like trying to play it off as like they took these pictures before they like froze them, instead of being like, they really gave me these pictures when they thawed them and they're inside of me right now and I'm actually technically pregnant. But everyone thought I was a dork and I was like crazy for wanting to keep them frozen, and it really made family members upset at me for not wanting to thaw them and put them inside.
Because Nicole wanted to take them on picnics with us.
Yeah, I'm like, I'll just carry them around in little test tubes for the rest of their lives, and they're safe there. And my sister-in-law was like, I am going to take those embryos out of the freezer and I am going to inject them in you myself if you don't do this. I'm like, I will in January, I promise. But it
was a really nice thing to have that surprise to show people. So if anyone is looking to go ahead and do this, I would personally recommend not telling anybody when you do the transfer. I feel like it did take off a lot of pressure on you for people asking, because while they were asking when you're going to do it, it was also kind of like, it would have been a lot tougher had Nicole told everybody, and then there was the anticipation of, well, are you pregnant? And it would have been building up too much.
How are you feeling? Are you having any symptoms? How are things going? Like, you know, it was nice just to be able to have only myself analyze the symptoms that I'm going through and not have people ask me, like, so when do you get to test? When do you get to find out? Like, it was really nice when we did tell our parents to have the element of surprise.
Yeah, that was a great memory to be able to do that. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend that.
But as far as the testing goes, back to your original question, we transferred on the 8th. We were supposed to get a blood test on the 18th, but I was very nervous that I wasn't pregnant, and I was out and about shopping for Anthony's birthday party, and I was like, well, the pregnancy tests are right there. I could just take it and just, know that if it's not positive, it's also like 3 p.m, and you're supposed to use like your first urine. And so that could be why. And also because maybe they like just transferred and there's not enough of the hormone for it to test. So I was just like, you know what, let's just test, because if it's positive, then all my fears can go away. They didn't. But if it's negative, then I'll just be like, okay, we'll wait for the blood test. So on October 14th, I bought a pregnancy test and I took it. And I called Anthony crying, and he was at work, and he was like, what's wrong? What's the matter? Like, is everything okay? And I was like, so I know they told me not to take a pregnancy test, but I did. And he was like, and it's like, it says we're pregnant. And he was like, why are you crying? Isn't that good?
Girls are so weird. I don't get it.
I was like, yeah, I mean, it's great news. Like, but what if this test is lying?
See, I told you. You just can't win. There's no way to win.
Literally. You can't win.
So, yeah. But that was it. You finally scheduled up the doctor's appointment. When you called, she was kind of rude on the phone because you were like, well, I tested early. And she was kind of a little bit rude, but...
Yeah, the lady on the phone was like... You're not supposed to. And I was like, I know, but I did. And I said I'm positive. So can I please get a blood test to confirm so I can stop going crazy?
So we went in.
But I didn't stop going crazy.
No, she did not. So in the future episodes, you're going to see just how crazy Nicole went. And what she did. But when we went in, we did see that blood test. And it was really incredible to see the joy that Nicole had to finally be pregnant after all the years of waiting, all the years of trying, all the pain and the suffering. But we'll kind of talk a little bit about how we actually found out they were twins in the next episode. So
how we told our family.
Oh yeah, that's a great story. So we'll kind of leave that until next time. But as of now, we just want to make sure that we say thank you guys for tuning in. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want to be alerted, hit the notification bell so that way you guys know whenever we release new content. And if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and go down to the comment box below and go ahead and ask your questions, and we're happy to answer them. Bye.
Bye.